and a KP Classic. Here's Brewmaster. Very
Hype it up.
comfortable.
Hype it up.
Hype it up.
Tell 'em.
KP's
Tell 'em.
Brewmaster is sick. Let me tell you. His Brewmaster, 80% plus win rate, I would guess.
Oh my
I
God.
thought you actually knew that. I was like, wow, you knew that off the top of your head.
No, his Brewmaster's just, yeah, he's really good. He's always been amazing on these micro heroes. He first became known and famous for his Naga Siren and like Tinker and all these like, obnoxious heroes you hate playing against when he was like a core player. Even when he switched to the offlane, he was still playing offlane Naga Siren or sometimes would switch to carry to play Naga. He's just like a micro hero specialist. At the same time, he also plays all the standard stuff. So Brewmaster, he's very good.
But Emma coming out, is this the potential for Cuddles then?
Well, I was thinking Grimstroke would probably be really nice, especially against Brewmaster because of the silence. But I'm also thinking that they don't currently have anything that cancels grip. So they should probably get something that cancels grip. This would actually be a really nice Clockwork game. I mentioned him last game. I think Brew really struggles playing against him because you can't get your ult off when the battery assault's hitting you. And it's they have Hawk, but Rocket Flare also a great way to scout Monkey King, long range way to cancel Bane. I don't know if TNC play it is the only problem. I know Carlo plays some weird fours. I mean, he was trying with Tiny 4 for a little while.
Febby definitely plays the Clockwork too if they want to do 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
But, whoa!
Okay.
You get to see at least Alpha Silencer here in studio.
Hell yeah! Well, that's a way to cancel grip and the bears.
I feel like we saw a Febby Silencer in Tour 1. Like, I distinctly remember seeing Silence come out and we're like, oh, there's a Silencer, and then I think he got dumpstered that game, if I recall correctly. That was also most games that TNC played in Division 1 was not pretty, but...
I'm like, that's...
It's, it's facts.
It's the truth, yeah.
I don't think Silencers... I don't like Silencer that much as a hero, I'll be honest, just because he lacks, like, lockdown outside of the silence. And I feel like nowadays, it's so easy to buy items that purge it off.
Yeah.
That being said, I was made into a little bit of a believer when we were covering Europe East last season. Na'Vi picked this hero in, like, 90% of their matches, it felt like, and were having, like, quite a lot of success with it. So I'm kind of down. I'm kind of down for Silencer. I do think it's kind of weird though that right now that their draft doesn't have like a lot of cohesion. You have a Beastmaster that's gonna give you like a good way to take objectives and tempo, but no one really like. I don't know.
Like a big team fight thing aspect. Is that what you're more saying?
I mean, I kind of like. Usually, you might see a Beastmaster pair with a support that like buffs up the carry or something, or just. Ways to take towers with him, ways to group up. It's Weaver and Silencer aren't really supports to like group up and do stuff together.
Yeah, because your Silencer doesn't want to he's gonna always be wanting to hide behind and not reveal. So it's a bit harder to playing like on the front foot with Silencers just feels always trickier.
Yeah, they have no like real good skirmish. It's like Ember and Weaver and Beastmaster are kind of nice playing together, but they have no real stun. They have chains, but that's not a hard lockdown. They have raw, but that's an ult committed. So you're relying on things like global to stop Brewmaster from ulting, and
I guess the nice thing is that the Searing Chains for Ember feels a bit better because you've got global to back it up. Like you can catch somebody, and if they don't have BKB, then you've got global silence as well to stop the spells coming out.
But like Talon immediately abused this hole in their draft by taking Morphling. He's just gonna buy a Manta this game, and he's gonna not really be threatened by anything.
And the morph into Ember, you can lane the morph mid if you want, even if you don't. It always feels really nice playing morph into Ember. It gives you a great morph target. None of the other three. And Weaver's also pretty good for the mobility. So
I'm gonna say it. 23 Savage is the best morphling in Southeast Asia. He's just the greatest. And Fear agreed. Fear said he was amazing as well. Like, this dude is actually just amazing at the hero. Best.
It's crazy he's on a Division 2 team.
Yeah.
At the same time, you could say that about a lot of the Talon players, I think. But, Tiny comes out. I think that you mentioned, having a hero to push around with the Beastmaster aura. I think after the Luna, Tiny was the one that stood out to me. So, I like this. I think this kind of pulls TNC's draft together pretty well. It gives them like an idea of like what to play around. It's going to be, Tiny's item timings quite a bit. If they can come online with like, Tiny having his like Silver Edge +1, and they can take objectives pretty fast. Maybe even like hit Talon before they're ready to fight with this Morphling.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think this Tiny pick's awesome, and it's like a carry that also has stun lockdown. Exactly what they need. You're right. It's just so good. It ties the knot. I can't believe it got through to the end of the draw.
Yeah, they banned AM instead, but you know?
It's one of those things that we all are a little bit shocked by, but hopefully we're not shocked by what Mike and John are about to say. And I'm also hoping we can actually hear you this time, Mike, and I don't have to read your lips.
I hear him.
Hello.
He's alive.
Hello.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Very
We
good to see
hear
production
you.
hasn't muted me this time, Nat. Obviously, they were very afraid I was going to call Bristleback trash, which it was last game. And well, when we go for game number 2, there's a Necrophos out now for Makoto. I don't know what to say about this Talon draft. I think they're probably still going to pull off the victory because they've got Savage Morphling and KP Brewmaster, but I don't know, man. What's with this Necrophos? John, what's happening?
There's a build-up for Necrophos. The Brooch with the Shard. It's actually pretty good. It's a good way to control down the Tiny as well. Percent damage on the ult means that you don't need to drop Tiny fully low, so you have a good burst for him. It's an interesting pick. I don't know. Like, I know some top Necrophos players, they don't like it right now, but Mikado could try that build. It's a weird investment in items, but it could work out.
It's like Talon are going to be going for something different that a lot of us haven't seen. For you guys, game 2, is this going to go towards Talon, or are we going to be seeing game 3?
Ooh, maybe I can see it. I don't see the damage to kill the Necrophos, unless they get like
Yeah.
a great global and kind of just. Oof.
Maybe an
Then-
Ember Ags. But I'm going to go with Talon too. They look really good, and I think the Necro at least gives them something to answer the Tiny.
You've convinced us. We're going to go with the Talon for the win as we head into game number 2.
Well, thank you very much. Now, it is MLP Dota and johnxfire once again, John. Very, very good to see that I do have a mic this time around. I'm very, very happy about that. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. I'm very surprised that we see Necrophos mid for Mikado. I think the games we've casted when Necrophos hasn't gone well. But again, there's a build-up there. You know, Crest, PH will back me up. Once top 2, top 3 Necrophos player in the world. There is a build-up. You get the Shard with the Death Seeker. You get a Witchblade into the Brooch. And you can right-click people down pretty nicely. So that is an interesting way of going about it. The ult is just weird. Like, the stacks of HP regen, it doesn't feel amazing until you stack up a lot, and even then, you know, it's like healing over time. You don't have the highest strength gain on this hero, so your EHP can't really maximize that additional regen. So it's a bit of a weird one. A lane matchup versus Ember, it feels like it should be fairly even. Like, you can match, you can regen, you can kind of do some damage through the Flame Guard. You don't have to burst it all the way down, so you should be able to just CS just fine here for Mikado. It does feel a little bit more passive, and the one issue I have with Necrophos is the cooldown on Reapers is 120 seconds consistent. So you're tied in to being aggressive every 2 minutes to burst down the Tiny. There's a lot of window there for TNC to play themselves.
Yeah. Could be a very early team fight here. Q and Savage be chased down there by Carlo. Febby even going to show up, and that's another thing I have a question about, John. Like, this Silencer pickup. The panel talked about it quite a bit, but do you have faith in Silencer in this meta? Even as just a support?
Yeah, I've been trying it a couple of times in some of my games as well. It still feels pretty strong in lane, and it can be dominant. It just lacks a lot of control, as Sheepu pointed out. Like, you're tied into Global Silence as well. You can dominate the lane like this, like they're just running down Q with the Boris Low and with the right clicks from the Glaives. It's a weird one. It feels like you need a lot of farm and Silencer to really see its potency. Even then, like, the Ags, it needs like level 25 to be useful, so you might as well just go for something like a refresh and kind of play that way. And there is value in it. Again, it gives him a good way of just locking in Morphling, locking in a lot of these heroes before Dispels are up, but, you know, Morphling tends to go Manta style nowadays, Mike. He tends to go for Linkens to block the wars, so I don't know how much value you will get from the Global Silence. Maybe in the first 15 minutes it feels great. Once some of those Dispels are up, not going to be as much.
Well, this will be an interesting matchup here as well, John. Mid lane, Yoe and Makoto going at it once again. We saw last game around, Yoe did some fantastic work solo on that mid TA. This time around, though, against the Necrophos, I think it's a much harder kind of matchup here for Yoe to try and deal with. Do you think there's any particular way Yoe has to play this, or do you think it's just kind of one of those lanes where Makoto just wins outright with the hero matchup?
You could try to be aggressive. I don't see Yoe going for early chains to really try to bully Mikado. So it's going to be pretty hard. It's basically a farming lane for both sides, but you can pressure pretty hard. You can't burn through the Flame Guard here for Mikado, so that AoE damage is always going to be in place. You can try to run down, but again, Death Pulse, the Heartstopper aura with a passive once you get some last hits and denies, it makes it easy for Mikado to stay. Rune control is where this really boils down. If Yoe can secure power runes, if he hits level 6 faster, that's your opening to really bully out the Necros. He's tied into that Reaper site to really look for those kill opportunities.
I think Yoe's doing a pretty good job though here with this this flame guard, just trying to get as much damage out. But now Makoto will chase him down a little bit, scare him back off and try to secure those water runes. It's going to be very important here for Yoe to be able to take, and it doesn't seem like anyone from Talon is going to be around to try and deny the water runes away from Yoe. So it'll be just fine in the mid lane. And of course this top lane, Savage Q against Bok and Carlo. Again, this was a lane that went very well for Carlo and Bok last game around. Mind you, they were playing Brewmaster Rubik, so I suppose it was to be expected. Against the Morphling Bane, John, do you think that Talon, or rather TNC, should have a massive advantage here, or should it just be a very even matchup?
I think it's pretty hard to dive a Morphling, especially once he hits level 3 and Savage is just about to. It's a very defensive lane for Talon. They've got Nightmare saves, which to stop the aggression coming through. It's a very passive lane overall for Talon, but I don't think you mind that. You've got Morphling, you want to farm, just keep building up, and Bok should be able to get what he wants as well. Get the levels up, you know, start to hit level 6, look for the roar opportunity. But again, there are some saves here on Talon that could make it pretty tough, especially from Q. So it's rather even lane, and when it comes down to a farming lane, it does feel a lot better for the Morph. At the same time, you can't underestimate the Beastmaster with an early Helm. So once that helm's up, that's when you can potentially see TNC start to commit more, look for the push, look for the roar opportunities to start snowballing here.
Yeah. Still no first blood being drawn by either team, though as I say that, bot lane, Young gone. Copper stun from Hyde, but no follow-up to it. The KP has not gone for the Cinderbrew this game, at least for now. Rather going for the max out Thunderclap into the Drunken Brawler, which makes enough sense when you're against Tiny. It's not like you have the greatest combo here with the Monkey King to try and pop that Cinderbrew. So it looks like KP just much more farm heavy this game here on this Brewmaster, which is absolutely fine. And we made the comment earlier, I mean, this is a KP Brewmaster, John. The man knows exactly what he's doing as top lane. Q also knows what he's doing by just TPing right out of it.
Yep, gets out of dodge, down mid, some aggression out, surprised. You mentioned it, but the rune control is being denied off by Talon. They get Hyde to pick one up, Mikado denies the rune instead of picking it up as well, maybe worried about the support rotation in. So they're making this really painful for Yoe. Empty bottle, you don't have the same sustain as the Necrophos would, it's a level 3 death pulse, every single hit starts to really ramp up, and it starts to get really painful. You can't even dodge it out. Like, if you do try to dodge the Death Pulse with Sleight of Fist, it still follows you throughout that Sleight of Fist.
Here we go. Jump in, Yoe. Gonna be caught out there by Hyde with the Boundless Strike. Into the Jingu Mastery now, but do they have enough damage? It looks like they just may, but Yoe gets the Fairy Fire off, and it's Hyde that drops. Fairby able to pick up first blood, and now Makoto. He is in a very tough position. He has no Ghost Shroud available. He'll actually level it up now. Just leveling up as he walks his way out, and Q moves in with the Brain Sap to take down Yoe. So they eventually get the Ember, and Makoto barely survives. What an interesting mid-fight it was, as top lane now Savage is getting aggressive. Bok, he's going to be okay. He'll back off, but seems like both these teams are ready to get started.
Yep. I love seeing this coming out from Mikado as well. He doesn't opt for the Reapers, just wants to survive with Ghost Shroud. And that does give him a lot more in lane. They're still maintaining all these heroes mid as well.
Here we go again, Yoe. He's still not level 6, John, so they want to really apply this pressure. Mind you, Makoto was unable to go for Reaper's Scythe at level 6, because again, he had to use the Ghost Shroud. So he does go ahead and score that up instead. They won't have that Reaper's Scythe to really lock down Yoe and ensure the kill. But I suppose it's fine. Just delaying the level 6 timing is always going to feel very nice against an Ember.
And they're really just not leaving him. With the Siege Creep, they're going to opt for the push. You can sustain the wave with the Death Pulse, so you can keep it alive a lot longer than it should. That's going to do some decent chip damage, force out the early Fortify here as well.
Makoto might actually make it to level 7 before Yoe gets to level 6 with the way things are going. See what happens. I mean, again, you'd love that Reaper Scythe to secure another kill onto this Ember if you can. Yoe does have the 6 up now, but Q is going to try and move in, perhaps for the Nightmare. Does just kind of bait it out a little bit, scaring off Yoe as they are just focusing on that tier 1 mid tower.
Jeez.
And with this Siege Creep, they just keep going. There's no stopping it. Talon, they've got it, and in they go. Nightmare on the Ember. They won't follow up, but they are very happy with just the mid tier 1 alone.
I mean, that's 6.5 minutes for a mid-tier 1. With a Necrophos mid, it's not really a pushing hero, Mike. You don't expect this with a lineup of Talon, but they commit the resources. Yoa has no play, and TNC kind of pull their supports off that lane as well. They try to win out the side lanes, maybe slowing down some of that farm and enabling Young God and Bach to get a little bit more from their heroes. Talon is, as you mentioned, super happy about this. Mikado is just checking the camps now, getting what he can, stealing away a few of the smaller stacks. That's some much needed farm. Did you manage to find Savage top? That is the Roar committed, so that's the timing you're looking for from TNC, but considering what you've gotten from the map, I don't think you mind that too much.
Yeah, very, very big pickup on Savage, but they will return the favor onto Carlo. Reaper Scythe being committed here by Makoto, and it goes back to what you said. Like, you might get the Morphling, but you've lost so much already for TNC that you've got to find a hell of a lot more of those kills to really even this out. As Febby bot lane being chased down by KB. There's your Primal Spring out. KB playing no games here down at the bot lane is easily going to get the silencer for himself. Talon much more aggressive this game number 2.
They are kicking into gear a lot faster. I think their lineup's really made to be aggressive earlier on as well. I do worry about the amount of space they've managed to give towards Young God. TNC's done a great job of ensuring Young God's lane is not as contested. The Brewmaster can't really do as much up against the Tiny, so you are getting some decent space out here for your big win condition on that pause. One, it's not too much farm though. You know, he's still falling behind Savage, still way behind Mikado, and the massive issue is still Yoe, who is the bottom network core. You need to see that catch-up go onto the Ember. You want to be able to play around the Ember once he has Orb Corrosion phase boots up. That's his massive spike, and he's going to build up there eventually. They are grouping up top here, Mike. They've got the Helm of the Dominator up on Bach. They can try to look for a push. Roar still about 10 seconds off, but this is the momentum for TNC now. This is where they can get objectives themselves and start applying pressure on the map.
Yeah, it's a big timing for sure. Bot lane, in the meantime, Young God's now being chased down here by KP. Nice toss away, but Makoto is there to help out. They have popped the Cinder Brew. They'll force more rotations down bot to try and help this Tiny, as now Carlo will give the vision over, but I don't think this is what TNC wanted. It's a smart play by Talon, because you force 3 heroes to rotate down bot, and now this top tier 1 tower, and maybe it's defendable. In fact, never mind Pock. He'll just get it done himself. He doesn't mind.
Yep. Not the biggest objective to lose for Talon at this point, again, considering the mid advantage. Opens up the top jungle a little bit more for Bach and some of the other cores to farm, but Savage is playing it a lot safer. You look at his position. He's not playing towards the forward camps of the jungle. He's pulled back, learning from game 1. Yoel?
Oh boy, Reaper Scythe, it's just not enough. The Flame Guard protecting him just enough to allow him to get out. Oh, and poor old Yoe, he's had such a tough game already. They are just not leaving the Ember be. Not for a moment.
No, they're really applying the pressure. They know a lot of that momentum from TNC tends to come from mid. Yoa, when he does have a good start, as the panel points out, as Sheepo loves to point out, Yoa's a great player. You know, he's not 12k for no reason. But even a 12k player at this much of a deficit can't do much in the game to influence it. So Talon's identified that condition for the momentum on TNC, slowing it down. They're applying pressure in the map. They're grouping up 3 heroes bot onto the safe lane, ensuring that someone's got to respond to the shove in. And they've given Savage room to actually just play mid. He's dipping in and out of mid into the triangle. He's getting the farm up. Our Morphling still number 2 in net worth. Pacing is really good for the build up here into the Yasha, into the Manta. And as mentioned, you know, once you have Manta up, Febby's silencer pick doesn't feel great in countering out the Morphling here.
Well, it certainly doesn't, Jonathan. It certainly does not. You can see TNC trying to take over the Dire jungle and maybe rotate into the mid lane, but there's a mid lane group up here from Talon as well. It could be a big team fight ready to break out as Q is going to move right in for the Fiend's Grip. Yoe, he may not have been watching, and he gets caught out and taken down. Oh, a bit of a shame there. He had the creep vision, but perhaps just not watching around that area. Does not spot out Q.
Yeah, that's pretty painful. Again, you look at our net worth of the Ember, bottom net worth core still. Hyde is on his tail at about 1.2k behind. Not the kind of lead you want an Ember to have over a pause 4. So they are trying to get the space out for the Ember. They are working the top jungle well, as you pointed out. TNC's been playing in that area with Bach. It doesn't feel like the Beastmaster's the hero that needs all that farm, though. I mean, the build-up's there. The Overlord will come out. So the Ancient Creep will be there to deal with the lanes, to get some push going, and we do have the Dark Troll Summoner around with a Skeleton, so a push can go really fast with a rally. And there's one bright side, but they've got to commit onto the lane first, as look at Talon. They're just still hugging 3 Heroes bot. They've done this for, what, 2 minutes straight? They're just not leaving this area.
They have been taking this tier 1 tower very slowly, to be fair, and that is allowing TNC now to move into that mid tier 1. And John, they've got the Skellies with the Dark Troll Summoner. We've seen how fast these towers drop. They're still, Raw is out. Savage though, he got the Strength Morph off in time. So they have to give up the mid tier 1, but maybe they can force a nice fight. There's Vok trapped up in the Wukong's command now. Should just end up dropping on this Beastmaster. They'll even give the Reaper Scythe over. Can they find more? Yoet? No, he's going to be fine. He'll remnant out. And I suppose if you're TNC right now, you're going to be happy with the fact that you got that mid-tier 1, even if you lose Bok.
It equalizes the lanes a little bit. I think the worrying fact is that they had to use Global Silence and Roar, and they couldn't find a kill. Like, they weren't quite set up. The damage is still lacking. You're dealing with a Morphling who, again, can just kind of attribute shift, and Savage is one of the best Morphlings in the world. I mean, we've watched Savage since Jinispris, but, you know, that's when his Morphling really popped off for the first time, and it's just been consistently good for, what, 3 years? So it's tough to kind of kill him off. Man, Jinispris. At least you've got 4F back with Savage, you know? That's a bit of reunion for them.
It was the team that never was, John. It was the team that should have been, but never was. I still think about them sometimes, Jinispris. It's never going to happen again. They're all split up now.
Yeah, but they're all doing well, and still TNC not doing as well. 2 to 5, 4K lead for Talon. They've just managed to use the map control they have to build up that net worth lead. And again, for TNC, we've got to see more coming out from Bok with the rally. You know, these skeletons are ridiculous. You saw that in the mid-tier 1 push. So pressuring the tier 2 top is the way to go. That should open up even more of the top jungle to cut off the sources of farm. Give Yoa an area to farm up. He is starting to catch up a little bit more. Still lagging behind KP, but he has at least widened the gap here, just slightly.
Look at the top tier 2. Look at it.
Yep.
Here we go. Oh, they'll force the glyph. Never mind. No fun for us, as Febi's going to get caught out on the silencer. And will eventually die slowly to Makoto. Tide trying to chase down Bok, but nice Quelling Blade is up from the Beastmaster to protect himself, but KP is still going to be on the chase with the Beast. Rather Brew. Bok, knowing he has no way out, will just pop the Fiend's Rip there from Q. Hyde might still tie to the neutrals. Scarlet's going to chase him down now on the Weaver. You might have him, but no, never mind Carlo. He's gone too far. Makoto with the triple kill out on the Necrophos. And TNC, they are still hanging around, still looking for a way to keep this fight going. But it's not looking good at all. Yoet, he's going to back off out of there. He'll Remnant right back into KP. He has that Remnant on cooldown. He can't Remnant back yet. He needs one more second. He'll eventually be able to get it surely, but he's going to tick down to the Spirit Vessel. And Bebby, well, he is not going to be excluded either here by Talon. They will equally take everyone out here on TNC, and Makoto. Well, that should have been a rampage, John, but it'll be a triple and a double kill.
Share your blessings here from Talon, spreading out that goal. 2 to 10, 8K lead, the early aggression from Talon ramping up. Let me tell you, Mike, that line from Sophie, it's... Do you know what it means when you say ang galing mo? It means that you're really good, aren't you? It's so BM. It's actually just such a good line, and the fact that Mikado is utilizing it, you know, that Filipino toxicity spreading itself well, Mike. Glad to see. TNC, they've got to rebound from this. You know, they're building up under win condition with Young God pretty well. He's got the Echo Saber up. He's working towards the Silver, well, at least the Shadow Blade first into BKB. And he does have the Ag chart up. So your Tiny is building up to the point where it will be pretty big. It needs more time. And at an 8K deficit, the rest of your cores aren't able to buy you much time. Like, we're just seeing issues for Yoa. Bok has been trying to push. The Overlord is coming out in 500 gold. And that could be another spike for TNC to kind of play the push game once more. But we've seen Talon. You know, they're disciplined. They know when to come in. They know when to stop that push. And it's making it very hard for Bok to just focus a lane in and take some objectives.
Yeah, speaking of the devil, Raw is there, but Ghost Round was already popped, so Makoto with the haste rune just going to chase him down his box. He'll try to salve up. He'll try everything. I don't think there's a way out, though. Makoto's got the Reaper sight right onto the Beastmaster, but maybe they can try to fight now. Hyde's gone. Makoto, he's surrounded. He needs some help. He'll go for the Yules for the Global Silence Purge, but they'll still chase him down. Still surviving, but Makoto still alive. Still trying. More Death Pulses. Another Ghost Round. He is not going to die, and now the Fiend's Grip. Q's there onto Yoe. He'll survive, though. The Avalanche will go ahead and cancel, but it won't matter. KP is out with the damage. Makoto's out of there scot-free. They can't kill him off with the Necro. In fact, he's back. Full HP, full mana, complete reset. And Young God, he was just trying to help the team, but it's not going to be. It is just not meant to be. Because Talon will wipe them out 3-13. 10k net worth advantage, and it may not be over. KP's having to look for a bit more. He's not satisfied yet, John. But it looks like they might just have to back off for a bit. They are under Hawk Vision.
Yeah, they are still posturing around the tier 1. Looks like they want the objective.
Oh, boy. Yeah, Bok. Gonna find out the hard way. KP was watching the whole time. That'll be a tier 1 top tower to drop, I think. There's no rule protecting this one.
Nope. No options for the defense anymore. They do still have the Fortify to stall, but not going to be enough. And they're still also pressuring other lanes here on Talon, keeping the mid shoved in. Mikado is just so hard to kill out. Febby.
Well, he's going to try, John, but he's playing Silencer. There's only so much you can do.
Oh, hi.
Stunned up. Maybe they can at least find the Monkey King, and that's going to be a positive trade here for TNC. You know, it's you lose your pos 5 for a pos 4, and I think right now any kill for TNC just means a hell of a lot more than it does for Talon.
Mikado just denies the regen. He doesn't need it, but, you know, he might as well pick it up. He doesn't want to exert the effort. And as you mentioned, you know, it is still a slight positive for TNC. They find a little bit of a bigger core. They're giving the kills out onto Yoe, so he's managing to get a little bit built into his Ember, trying to work towards the BKB next. And that should counteract a lot of the early magic damage we're seeing coming out from Talon. You do have to worry about this early halberd on Mikado. So every time Young God shows up, he's not going to be doing damage. He's just going to be disarmed. He's going to have to try to play with Avalanche Toss, which isn't the primary focus of his hero build. And it's going to be a lot more easy to manage that win condition that has been steadily building up.
Here we go again, Bok. Gonna cop the Reapers, I think, from Makoto. Or maybe not. He'll just hold on to it this time. It's not even necessary. Talon, their 16th kill of this game. Now 12k advantage. By the way, Makoto currently sitting at 9-0-4. And, well, we might have another candidate for that Reaper Scythe. Jonathan is Febby. About to drop, does get the global silence, and now Young God does move in, almost finding Makoto. They'll take down Q, but here comes the Ghost Round. He is going to survive a little bit longer, but Carlo, he'll keep up the vision, keep up the chase onto the Necrophos, but it may not matter. Hides in with the Wukong's command, slowing down Yoe's Makoto. He's still running. Reaper Sight, not out yet. Can they actually kill him? This Necrophos, he's still not dying. Another Ghost Round, and now the Reaper Sight. See you later, Carlo. Oh, Makoto, he just can't be killed, John. He's unkillable.
He's just kiting so well, and it's just that mix of magic damage kind of falling flat here, considering levels, and they're still dying tier 3s.
Leave Bok alone. Leave him alone. He's had enough. Leave Bok alone. Nice avalanche at least from Young God into a toss, but here comes Savage with his own combo, moving in onto the Tiny. Already past those tier 3 towers. I mean, why the hell not, John? Blowing up Febby. Silence that, he says. Savage, you've got to go back for the tier 2, Savage. You still haven't taken that one out, but they've caught out Carlo. A triple kill out for the Morphling.
Sometimes lucky, sometimes unlucky.
You know what they say, John? There's a time to call it. It's getting close.
It does feel that way. I mean, look at this Morphling. Like, Manta Satanic just to dispel the silences. That's all he wants. He doesn't want to be caught out like that, and they're just going high ground. Like, how can you stop this? Your Ember is not quite in position to really fight quite well, not in position in terms of itemization. Global Silence is on cooldown. You have nothing. Like, it's only one set of racks. Tier 2 still stand, but that's a set of racks at 21 minutes up against a Beastmaster. Like, you know, this is not supposed to happen against this kind of lineup from TNC.
It certainly is. I think it just goes back to how well every side lane just went, right? Like Makoto dominating mid. You give KP Brewmaster, he's probably just going to dominate. And then Savage on his signature Morphling. the hero that we really noticed how great Savage was on when we first saw him. They go for the Roshan now. A big smoke up from TNC, but they are scanned out already. And the one target they could run into is probably Makoto, and that's not the one they can handle right now. He'll just block the way, make them walk the long way around. This young god looking for a way in.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And you've got to find a support or two first. I definitely don't think Makoto is the target. Young god still trying to move in. We'll be underneath the Sentry Ward vision very, very soon as Makoto does get chained up. Young God, he's going to move in with the Avalanche toss. It's not enough yet, but the Roar is there. Ghost Shroud, though, was popped, so they can't follow up. In goes the Global Silence, but what does it actually do? They're trying to disengage now, but Savage, he'll chain up the Ember. Yoe's going to go down again. It's hide. He'll look in for more. He'll find the Beastmaster. They even found the Tiny. Young God barely making his way out. Makoto will keep trying to chase him down. But it's back to the Roshan pit here for Talon. There's nothing to stop them.
No, and this is quite the dominant game coming out from Talon this time around. 6-23, 19k lead. Look at the lead Savage and Makoto have over Young God. Almost 2 times more net worth at this point, just 4k away from that mark. And with the Aegis up, there shouldn't be anything to stop Savage from looking for further objectives. Bot tier 2 still stands, top tier 2 still stands, so they've got to clear out some of these lane towers first. But the game's getting harder and harder for TNC to come back in. BKB on Young God could be one opening. It just doesn't feel like the Tiny's doing enough damage yet, Mike. We don't have a Silver Edge, we don't have a source of crit. The physical burst is just not there.
Down south, who have they got? Oh, they got the Tiny. Q holding him down with the Fiend's Grip, and oh, he's by himself. Makoto, he won't even look at him when he dies. Just turns his back. Cool guys just don't look at explosions, John. Makoto, 11-0-9 now. We'll move down towards the bot lane. As Yoe is going to show himself, but again, I would advise against it right now. I think it's probably time for Yoe to just get the hell out of there. Jules is there. Q. Not going to be able to land a Nightmare. Goes for the Enfeeble instead.
This should open up that tier 2 push, open up the high ground for the bot lane. They would love to clear top first, not quite in position. TNC's done a good job of kind of keeping that lane in check at the very least with Bach. But how do you defend the high ground here down bot? Like, you don't have Global Silence just yet. Your Ember, again, doesn't do enough damage. He's been stuck at Phase Boots, Orb of Corrosion for, what, the past 10 minutes now? And now you have the Ags up in KP, so he's got charges on the split. It's going to be even more disruptive in the middle of these fights. At TNC, it doesn't even look like they're bothering to defend these racks anymore.
Yeah. I mean, KP's doing the same thing Bach was last game, just almost pump faking that primal split. They do get the bot racks. They'll move in for the top, I think, very soon. The T2 tower is still standing, but they found the Tiny. Nice avalanche, though, to allow him to disengage. Talon, they'll go after the range rats. Finish that one off. TNC still trying to find a way to be able to fight into this. They will just get out. Talon, they've got a tier 2 to take down, and
As long as we stay positive.
I think they're just going to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to stop them. Age is still up for 3 minutes. You've got this ridiculous gold lead at 6-24, 26k net worth lead on top of that. Scotty up on Savage. There's nothing to be scared of for the Morphling right now.
Infinitely more to be scared of for this Tiny. The Scotty making it so hard for Young God now, as he's not even in the fight. He's just pushing up bot lane. He doesn't want to be part of this. But the problem is Megas are coming very soon if you don't join in and try to defend. So he'll wrap around the back way, trying to sneak up from the backside, but Febby already caught out of the silencer's gone. He does have buyback. I just don't know what it means. At the very least, he has Global Silence if he does want to buy back and try to commit to this fight. There goes the melee barracks and or the range. They're not going to take too long either. Savage gets very low, but he's got the Aegis. He'll get a reset. In they go Talon, looking to go for the jugular, taking down Carlo already. TNC, well, they're not going to call it yet, John, but they are up against Mega Creeps, and they're 29k behind. And Talon, they might not even back off. This is their home now, and they're going to stick around and ensure it remains safe. They'll go for the tier 4 towers very, very soon. TNC, still trying. Avalanche is there, onto 3, high though with a nice boundless strike onto Young God. KP now just chase him down, and Makoto moves his way in with the Ghost Round, just slowing him down infinitely. The Tiny just can't get out. No buyback available. All they can do is buy more time. GG.
Yep. Talon, they play an extremely clean game there, Mike. Pull out that mid Necrophos to have a great lane up against Ember. Playing a little bit in that fountain, don't manage to find the kill in the end. But Talon play a lot stronger this time around, you know. Much less even. Talon look a lot more dominant. They go with a faster draft. They give those specials that you said. KP Brewmaster. They get the Savage Morphling, probably one of the best in the world at this point. And they give Mikado this here that just dominates the lane, snowballs, and they kept Yoa in check. You saw all that aggression onto the mid. 6 heroes mid for like, what, almost 5 minutes, it's felt like. A lot of pressure for the Ember, and there was no room to play make. And as we've heard a lot of teams say for TNC, they tend to depend on Yoa to give them momentum, and if you shut him down, there's just not enough room to get anything else done.
Before we head off to a break, by the way, John, you've been complaining to me all day about it being hot, but you seem to be wearing a jacket. Could you explain why, sir?
It's not a jacket, it's just a polo, you know? It's a plain shirt's too casual, Mike. I gotta look good with the shades. Cool. Yeah,
you're trying to look cool. That's what you're trying. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to head off to a very short break, and right after that break, we'll be back with our lovely panel to discuss John's fashion sense. We'll see you then.
Talon did not even give TNC the chance to make any sort of moves in game number 2. So they do end up taking that series in a very, very, very convincing 2-0 fashion. And you guys, you brought it up a lot during the game, but you wanted to talk about mid lane. You said it was the most important lane, and it's the only thing we should ever talk about. Nothing else.
Mid players are literally the only people that matter on this earth. Oh my god. Yeah, so Necro may have been around 2,000 net worth above Ember coming out of the mid lane. Is this the worst matchup we've ever seen? I mean, Dragon Knight was pretty bad, but this looked way worse.
Yeah, it took me back. I think it was VP who used to pick Necro mid occasion against this Ember and would dumpster the lane. And on top of it, they really gave Mikoto an even bigger advantage by just collapsing their supports constantly. Like, even before the Siege Wagon came out, they were just diving past mid, going for these kills. They gave up first blood in their pursuit of like just diving this Ember and just giving him a miserable time. And then they end up taking the tower like right after because the Siege Wagon shows up. So mid lane was definitely a disaster.
It was. But the other thing is, I think a lot of people would have expected the Tiny to be able to come online and make quite an impact, but that didn't happen either.
It's really hard for him too, because usually Tiny likes to buy Echo Saber before he even thinks about getting involved, and then like ideally he wants a Shadow Blade and he wants that space to farm the triangle, and when everything is happening on the map the way it is, you don't really have the space or time to do it.
Yeah, even the Beastmaster's like kind of their tempo hero needs that playmaker to come online. Like I think the Beastmaster's game is set back because of how much Ember gets destroyed mid. Typically, it's like your Beastmaster goes to off-lane tower, and you need the Ember to rotate in and punish anyone who's trying to defend it. But because Ember's always playing catch-up, just, you know, nothing ends up working for this game. Makoto goes 12-0-12, like, this just pops off.
Look at Yoe. I mean, I don't want to, like, we're saying how badly he lost mid, right? And, like, yeah, but he still did 19,000 hero damage. He did the most on his team by far. He, despite having one of the hardest and roughest games, he probably did the most. Like, respect him for trying to get involved in the game and fight really hard. He couldn't even go for like a Maelstrom because of like how rough it was. He had to just go Corrosion straight into BKB. Sadly didn't end up finishing it, but like I think he did the best with what he had.
That was actually going to be my next question. I was going to say, do you think TNC did the best with what they were given? You already answered that one. So instead, do you think that there was any potential for TNC to maybe use the map a little bit differently and come out on top, or was this always just going to be a Talon game from coming out of laning phase?
For me, the draft always made it hard. I think the hope would have come from the supports and how they moved around the map. It felt like Talon just got a lot more value out of what their supports did this game. Their collapse on mid, TNC tried to respond, but it just felt like Talon were just outmaneuvering them, making better plays, securing the runes constantly. Even though Necro isn't this hero that makes huge impacts from grabbing runes, it denies him from an Ember Spirit. So it just felt like Talon were making the better rotations, which at the end of the day maybe goes back to the draft, because heroes like Monkey King are just naturally going to rotate and dive towers and make those moves a lot easier than what TNC had for their supports.
The other thing to look at as well is the first game, Talon played that more slow-paced farming draft, and then now in game 2 they played this extremely fast pace. They just didn't allow any room for TNC. So if you're a Talon fan or anyone that is enjoying Talon's gameplay, it's great to see just how much they can change it up, especially between games within the same series.
Yeah, I think they really understood like their win condition was going to be Necro having a good game, whereas game 1 the supports were looking to like stack, basically play more, let's play back and protect our Medusa, secure Medusa farm. This game, like, Morphling, he'll get what he can get. He's self-sustainable a bit. Let's play around this mid lane where we can really just, win the game. So I think the Talon supports did a really good job of recognizing where to play in both games.
I think everyone on Talon did an absolutely outstanding job. And so because of that, we are going to be getting 23 Savage in for a winner's interview. 23 Savage, thank you for joining us. And I have to ask, you guys are undefeated at the moment in Div 2. How is that feeling?
Nothing. We just need to win everything anyways. So it's just part of the progress.
And what is the goal for you guys on Talon?
We're gonna go to Division 1 and then hopefully we can get to the major and then TI.
Are you hoping to do the whole tour undefeated?
Yeah.
How's your time on Talon? Obviously, like making the big team change. Is there anything like wildly different in team dynamics? So, like, how are you getting on with the players?
Things here are a bit different from what I've experienced because before I was in like Fnatic T1, they were pretty experienced, but right now, my teammates aren't that like doesn't have like many experience. So right now I kind of lead them sometimes now.
How are you finding that experience being more of like an in-game leader then? You enjoy
That's
that?
more fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, I also want to ask, what was the mindset during game 1? Because it was such a close game and very back and forth.
The laning we didn't do it that well, so we just gotta play on the timing that we think is good. So yeah, just like Medusa against TA is unwinnable in the late game, so we just try to split.
The Roche fights went on for a really long time in the first game, especially the second Roche. How do you guys like communicate as a team to like fight around it? Because there was a lot of like poking and it took a long time.
We were just so calm and waiting for them to like react, and then we just answer them in the fight. So it's just team fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you guys did a fantastic job. Congratulations again on the 2-0 and the win.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.
See ya.
Bye.
23 Savage waved before we waved this time.
He's so kind. What a nice boy.
No, I think my favorite is, you guys are undefeated. How are you feeling?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Dead inside.
Absolutely nothing.
I think that answer gives a lot of it does give a lot of info though. It's like that Talon are just expecting Division 2 to go really well. Like I think if you ask RSU that question, I think they're probably feeling like super hyped, like they're a new team, they're 4-0. They've had some big wins against tough oppositions already, even though they haven't played Talon. For them it's probably a different story because I don't think RSC obviously would love to make it to the major number 3, make it to TI, but that's probably not like their realistic goals in the short term.
Okay.
Whereas Talon, I think their goal is TI, and it's a realistic goal because of the talent on the team, the players, players like KP who've been to TI before, been runner-up there. I think this is a team built to succeed TI. So them not making Division 1 and I think not doing well in Division 1 would be a disappointment.
So you're saying right now that Talon are going to make it to the third major? Or the major after 2 or 3?
I think they're a Division 1 team for sure. They belong in Division 1.
You're going to stand by the team. Come on, God.
I'll stand by them.
Are you a believer?
I believe. I mean, I'm really excited for Tour 3. I think it's going to be really exciting getting like Talent up there in Div 1. I think on this track they're looking like pretty much surefire to get there. And like if anything, we haven't seen them play against RSG yet, and even if they lose there, they can still come top 2 and go up to Div 1. And then at that point you have all these big boy teams in Div 1. It's going to be so hype.
Yeah. I think Div 1, they look better than like what I would say Execration or Neon Esports look like right now, but whether or not they're better than like the teams in the middle, which is like SMG, Polaris, I think they're maybe on a similar level, but they have the potential, I think the ceiling of players like 23 Savage is like, it's way up there. So
before we do wrap up, I guess this series is if you are on the side of TNC and you are a TNC fan, are there any silver linings? Is there something you guys are taking away from this? What do you want to see TNC learn from this series?
I mean, there's more to look at in the second game for sure, but like their game 1 was so good, and I think like they can just polish that gameplay up and take take some series wins going forward. I honestly thought they looked really, really good in game 1. Like they should definitely try and take away what they did well in that game, and then try and fix up what they did poorly in the second game, and just kind of like mash it together into a good win.
Okay. Same thing. You want them to just mash it up together?
Make a nice little stew.
Make a cake.
Yeah.
I've never heard anything analyzed that way. I mean, it was just like a little bit of this gameplay and a little bit of that gameplay. That's it.
Yeah,
cake.
I think TNC's a solid team. For them, it's just about getting the wins against the teams that's on a similar level to them. Because I believe that puts them 1 win, 2 losses, which is not great. But, they bounce back and start winning some series. They're contender for tiebreakers, or at least could finish maybe 2nd, 3rd, 4th. So
there's always still hope, as there is so much more of the tour left, but also more Dota coming up today, as we are going to be seeing our Division 1 series after this break.